Alright, we are live, ladies and germs. I realize that this review is coming way late, but I've just been really busy. But we're going to do a real quick review of the FireKeepers Casino 400 because we got Daytona tonight, and there's going to be a lot to talk about after the Daytona race. So this will be a real quick review of the Michigan race, which was actually pretty good for once. Amazing, isn't it? But let's go ahead and get into it. This is the fuel. Edition of the fuel. Even though this review is coming way later than it should, I apologize for that. But today we're going to be talking about the FireKeepers Casino 400 at Michigan. It's our 107th episode ever. Title of this video: It's gonna snow in August. Because this race was actually pretty damn good for once. There's a lot of news stories to get to, but I'm going to save those for after the Daytona review, which I'm probably going to do later on tonight, because there's going to be a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into the race review. So this was a 200 lap race, 400 miles. Stages broke down 60, 60, 80. You know, simple. So stage 1, 60 laps. Kyle Larson starts from the pole. Blaney tries 3 wide with Larson and Elliott, but loses spots. Larson leads lap 1. Blaney starts dropping back like a rock on the bottom. This car wasn't really that good at the beginning of the race. We had our first pure lead change in lap 3 when Matt DiBenedetto leads at the line, but loses momentum, and Kurt Busch gets by for second, and Kyle Larson gets back around him to retake the race lead for a second pure lead change in lap 4. Truex falls all the way back to the 30th position. He got run into by his teammate Kyle Busch on the start. Did some rear end damage, but fortunately for him and for Kyle, first caution comes down on lap 21, which was the competition caution. Everyone comes in for service. Some take just fuel, 2 tires, 4 tires. A lot of varying strategies here. Hamlin wins the race off pit road. So Hamlin leads on the restart. The outside was clearly the preferred line today, except for the last restart, which was weird. Elliott if I can speak. Elliott slingshots past Hamlin down the backstretch for the lead for a third pure lead change in lap 27. We had 8 cars within a second of each other at this point. The racing was actually pretty good in this race. I've had my disdain for the 550 horsepower package echoed in the past, but it does have its moments, and for what it's worth, it put on a pretty good race here. Larson gets by Kurt Busch for third, and we have our second caution on lap 32 when Joey Gase hits the wall hard on the right side when the right front tire goes down in turn 2. So Elliott leads on the restart. Kurt Busch challenges Elliott for the lead on the inside, but has to fall back behind Hamlin because the inside is not the hot ticket. Kyle Busch and Truex are recovering nicely after their contact. They're both back up into the top 15 after making repairs. Larson gets by Logano for fourth. Austin Dillon on 4 fresh tires is up to second late in stage 1, and Elliott wins stage number 1. Larson beats Dillon to the line for second, which is important because he's trying to win the regular season title. Everyone comes in for service, and Larson wins the race off pit road. So we come to stage number 2, which is 60 laps. Larson leads the start of stage 2. Dillon leads the lap after the restart. Excuse me. Kurt Busch gets nudged by Matty D going into turn 4 and nearly loses it, but hangs on to it, but because he lost all his momentum, has to drop back to 20th. Kyle Larson regains the lead on lap 68 for a 4th pure lead change of the day. Dillon challenges Larson for the lead in turn 1, but has to fall back in line because he went to the inside. Top 4 of Larson, Dillon, Elliott, and Kyle Busch all within a half second of each other, basically. Dillon and Larson side by side for a lap for the race lead, which was pretty cool. Elliott now up to second, and he makes a move on Larson and completes the pass for a 5th pure lead change on lap 80. So we have a great 3-way battle for the lead between Elliott, Larson, and Dillon. Reddick reporting a vibration on the car, possibly a loose wheel. Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell getting within striking distance of the leaders. Harvick kicks off green flag stops on lap 101. We have a battle for 3rd between Dillon, Kyle Busch, and Christopher Bell. Hamlin gets by Dillon for 5th. Elliott pits from the lead on lap 112. Larson is able to get around Elliott on the pit cycle. Kyle Busch decides to take just 2 left side tires. Bell is the last to pit road on lap 115. So both of the JGR cars jumps the Hendrick cars on the pit stops. Kyle Busch wins stage number 2. Then we had a very unusual incident when Dillon finished 6th in the stage, but Keselowski was on his outside. He came down, Dillon basically came up, and Dillon spins off of Kez's front bumper and into the outside wall hard. I don't think it was intentional on Keselowski's part, but then Richard Childress was basically like, I might be an old man, but I could still kick his ass. And I'm just kind of like, Childress, seriously, sit down and shut the fuck up, okay? It was a racing incident. Get the fuck over yourself. Okay, nobody gives a shit that you can still kick ass. Shut the fuck up with that shit. Grow the fuck up for once. God damn. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Richard Childress and what he's done in this sport, but when he says shit like that, it just gets on my fucking nerves. It really does. So, stage number 3, 80 laps, ran at the side. Kyle Larson leads the start of stage 3. Kurt Busch leads the lap after the restart, but Larson powers back around the outside for a 6th pure lead change on lap 128. Truex up into the top 5 after having a car that was dog meat in the first half. Of course, he got run into, but they made some pretty good repairs, and he's back into the top 5. William Byron was up the challenge now here in this 3rd and final stage, up to 2nd, challenging his teammate Larson for the lead. We had a great battle at the bottom half of the top 10. Then things kind of started to settle down a little bit here in this 3rd stage. Hamlin gets by Kurt Busch for 3rd. Byron kicks off green flag pit stops on lap 156. Byron gets ahead of Larson on the pit stops. And then Kyle Busch over the line on the pit stops and has to back up to get service. Kez and Bell are the last to pit road on lap 175. With everything cycled out, Byron cycles with the lead, but Larson, Hamlin, and Kurt Busch are right behind him to challenge with 25 laps to go. And probably would have been a great battle at that point, but then we had our 3rd caution on lap 180 for rain. It was a very brief rain shower. And the shower was gone within like a few minutes. It wasn't raining that much, but I think NASCAR wanted to err on the side of caution after what happened at New Hampshire earlier this year. And the thing is, this is not New Hampshire. It's Michigan. And when you have a 2-mile high bank D-shaped oval where these guys are in excess of 190 miles an hour, the last thing you want is a damp racetrack. So I think they threw the caution here just to be on the safe side, to not have a repeat of what happened at New Hampshire, because it would be a lot worse at Michigan. But thankfully the rain moved out, so we got Byron leading on the restart. He gets the lead on the restart, but then we have our 4th and final caution on lap 186. Reddick gets loose in turn 4 and stacks everyone up. Truex spins Logano out, mainly because Logano backed off. Bell gets spun by McDowell. Josh Berry spins as well. as Ryan Newman. I was worried that this was going to be like, oh man, this is going to be like Indianapolis, where the end of this race is going to turn into a shit show. Thankfully, that was not the case. That was the final caution of the day. As William Byron leads on the restart, but does not get a very good restart. Ryan Blaney, who was on the inside, yes, Ryan Blaney, who we hadn't talked about since the beginning of the review, gets the lead on the restart with a push from Hamlin. Reddick has a flat left rear tire in turn 4, actually spins, but no caution is thrown as he makes it back to pit road. Larson with a dive bomb move underneath a Byron for second and takes it. We have 7 cars fighting for the win with 5 laps to go. Lots of pushing and shoving for position. Larson challenges Blaney for the lead with 3 laps to go, but Byron dive bombs him and gets second back. And then coming around off of turn 4 to the checkered flag, Byron has one last shot, nearly scrapes the wall off of turn 4, but has a ton of momentum, dives down to the inside, but Blaney is able to just barely hold Byron at bay to win the FireKeepers Casino 400. Blaney led just 8 laps, and it was the final 8 laps, but you know, they were the most important ones, to say the least. And I sat back and I was like, wow, that was the best Michigan race I've seen in years. It has been a while since Michigan's put on a race that good. Michigan has sucked that badly. So our one and only headline for this, Ryan Blaney earns his 2nd win of the season, which coincidentally means that this is his first multi-win season in his career. So good job by Ryan Blaney. So with that out of the way, let's do some race statistics, race results and points, my final rating, and we'll be done with this review. And then we'll save all the big stuff for after Daytona, which I think is appropriate. So overall lead changes, we actually had 20 overall lead changes in this race, pretty good, with 6 pure lead changes. We had 4 cautions on the day. And 3,608 total green flag passes, which equals out to 21.1 per green flag lap. So, race results for Michigan, Ryan Blaney, of course, with the win. William Byron coming home in 2nd. Kyle Larson, who led the most laps, comes home in 3rd. Kurt Busch in 4th. Denny Hamlin in 5th. Still does not have a win, but he's been finishing in the top 5 consistently all year long. Matt DiBenedetto with a top 10 finish. Kurt Busch as well, or Kyle Busch, excuse me. Chase Elliott fell back to finish 8th. Brad Keselowski finishes 9th. And Martin Truex Jr., despite having a car that was dog meat for much of the race, ends up in the top 10 in the finishing order. Point standings with 1 race to go in the regular season. Kyle Larson has a 28-point edge over Denny Hamlin for the regular season title. You have Kyle Busch up to 3rd in points, which is pretty impressive, especially considering where he was last year. William Byron, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, who has still not won yet this year, and Brad Keselowski round out the top 10. Tyler Reddick holds down the final spot in the playoff, and it's the only spot that's left available. Kevin Harvick was able to get in on points. So 15 of the 16 spots have already been locked up. Obviously, Tyler Reddick's is the only one remaining, because even though he has a 25-point edge over his teammate, anybody can win and basically knock him out. So, and it's Daytona we're going to. So, as we saw back in the 500, anything can happen. You have Alex Bowman, who's locked in. Austin Dillon, who's on the outside looking in. Kurt Busch, who's locked in. Christopher Bell is locked in. Matt DiBenedetto. The 17 of Chris Buescher, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who, I mean, you might want to keep an eye on because he's good at Daytona. Michael McDowell won the 500, and Ross Chastain rounds out the top 20. As for my final rating for the FireKeepers Casino 400, this was, like I said, the best Michigan race I've seen in years. It was a very entertaining race. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, I'm still not a fan of this 550 horsepower package, but for what it's worth, it actually put on a damn good show in Michigan. So I am going to give this race an 8 on the fuel gauge. Yes, a good Michigan race. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, I call it like I see it. And from what I saw, it was a pretty damn good race. I mean, it was hard to pass the leader at times. It wasn't impossible, though. We did see some nice slingshot passes going on. So, I'm not going to slam this race really too much. You know, it was a good show. So, 8 out of 10 on the fuel gauge. And just like that, that is going to do it for this edition of The Fuel. Quick and painless. Unlike the previous couple of episodes, I think the Indianapolis review was nearly 2 hours long, so this is kind of a little bit of a change of pace because we're only 16 minutes in. But I wanted to kind of get this one done and over with, so that way when we go to Daytona, I'll have all the news stories that I'm going to talk about, and kind of give a preview of what the playoff is going to be like and who I think is going to be favorites. I mean, I'm not a fan of the playoff, but it's part of the sport now, so I got to talk about it, despite how much I don't want to. But that'll come later, after Daytona. We'll see what happens then. So, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the Packer Man, signing out. See you later.
Thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to like and subscribe, you rats!